Happy Independence Day. It is right now currently July the 3rd. The 4th is right around the corner. This is a great day. A lot of y'all are celebrating today. But what are you celebrating? I hope you are celebrating more than just hot dogs and fireworks, because that's just a Tuesday celebration. So my whole thing, and this is the way I look at all of history, is put yourself into the shoes of the men that were there at the time it was happening. Look at what they were thinking, what they had considered as risk, and why they were doing it. Battles, if you go battlefields, it's a great opportunity to do that. Scary. It's scary. You can get carried away and you start thinking to yourself how just I don't know, the hell that is war. But right now we're focusing on the Declaration of Independence. These men were all going to be considered traitors against the crown. And I know that's a word that's used stupidly today. However, who are these men? I mean, how many people? There's 330 million people in the United States of America today. And we all went all to 56 dudes. Think about that. These people were the rock stars of the day. They were well liked. They were famous. They were wealthy, well educated, just all around. They were everything. They had every single thing they could possibly ever want. And they sat there in this room and they decided, we're done with the king. And at the time they saw this encroachment. Now, this is just, after the Enlightenment, you had a lot of writing about the freedom of man. Free thought was, all this was pretty much launched, if you were to ask me, from Gutenberg and his press. Because the being able to share ideas rapidly throughout the world really created thought that a lot of people, maybe they didn't say it, what they were thinking, because of fear of repercussions. Now they had an opportunity to read it and back it up with somebody else who was, well thought of. And at this time they were getting news. News traveled slow back then. I think it was July 4th was the when Congress approved the Declaration of Independence, the Continental Congress, right? And the July, was it 6th or 8th, was when the newspaper in Philadelphia was the first paper to print a copy of it. And they didn't print till like the 6th or 8th, right? So, anyway, it's an amazing, it's just amazing how slow and, I don't know, ill-informed you'd say compared to today. But anyway, they were noticing that there's a trend, and whenever they got news from a foreign country, and a foreign country is Europe, France, or let's see, Germany wasn't united. There were a bunch of tribes still, but you had France and Britain and Spain and all these. I don't know. I forgive me. I'm not a European historyist. I don't really care. European history ended on this day, 1776. And all I care about before then is what it took to get us here. But at the time, they really thought that they were going to come under a totalitarian, is that correct? A rule was going to be put in from England that they were going to be subject to undue pressures. They're going to put under the thumb of the governor who was attached to the hand of the king. And they were seeing this all over the world. France had its problems. Matter of fact, Lafayette went back to France and was instrumental in their revolution after talking about our revolution. But it was, they just said, this is enough. And we have to cut the head off now. And there's a quote from Mark Twain about patriots and how they're the ones that do it first when nobody else likes it. But then once they become successful, and everybody else wants to join it. So these were the first. And every one of these men there knew they were signing their own death warrant. And when the war broke out, England went looking for these men. How dare they talk to the king this way? Again, these people, they had wealth. They had it all. And they had more than before the war than after the war. They also, you have to realize, if you think about this, and this is a hard one to wrap your mind around. They had more freedom then as subjects of England than we do today as our own free men. It's crazy, right? So these guys are very instrumental, and I have a hard time talking about the Declaration of Independence, the formation of this country, without surmising I think the hand of God played a very important role in it. And I think that's one of the things, the laissez-faire, let the invisible hand of God have his role in it, is very important to this nation. It's funny, on economic principles of laissez-faire, I believe Adam Smith said that what is best for the individual is best for the collective, which is hard for some people to understand, but it's when you go and you search for your own self-interest, you put your own self-interest first, you'll eventually, everyone's self-interest aligns. It's like you can't describe trends. You can never accurately predict a trend. You don't know, somebody's going to see something and be like, oh, I have to have that. And then everybody has to have that. I think currently, put in our terms, I don't know if people thought that the iPhone would ever be as big as it is. I mean, we went from a nation on computers to we're a nation of phones that we don't use to talk on. Weird, right? I mean, these men really do owe a debt of honor to them. It is their country. We're but the stewards of it. And that's one of the things you have to remember, and that's why it's so important. Because of this, when you have that respect, you have that you remember that you're just, you are the steward. You're your own individual steward. You're here you got to make your little piece of America a little bit better than you found it. Not as a collective, but as an individual. You'll see how important what they created was. And it goes back to why our system of law continues to work to today. And it's miraculous. It's absolutely miraculous. No country in the world has what we have. We're blessed. We're absolutely blessed. And unfortunately, we are a easily influenced and very primitive group of animals. It just makes... I would love to be able to spend time around any of these men and get an idea of what they woke up in the morning to think about. What was their after dinner conversation like? It's just sad thing is that they would be asking me what the iPhone is like, right? What is what is daily life in America like in the future? And I wouldn't be able to tell them. I don't know, because I know it's the same as everybody's. I think it's the same as always been. But these guys were exceptional. They were visionaries, absolute visionaries. And that's something you have to look at law as well. When they later on, well, I mean, just the whole country, the whole idea of due process and free speech and free religion is absolutely unbelievable. Um, it's it's something that you talk about any of our amendments, and people love hot topics. Or well, that's not is all what I wanted to happen. There you go. Sorry about that. You saw my movie collection. The hot topic of, say, the Second Amendment. It's really the only one I can think of at this moment that's so, I don't know, stimulating. You can't talk about abortion because there's no amendment to it. The amendments were part of the contract we made with each other to form this union. But you look at it, and people like to say on Second Amendment, say, well, our founding fathers can never envision these types of things. Okay, well, then you have to be fair and say, well, they never could envision this type of speech or this way to communicate, or this or that. And it's, if there's one thing that I think that you can take away from all these guys and give you an instance of how much respect I have for them, is that I'm not so sure that they didn't envision any of those things. These people were dreamers and realists. And they were able to take a dream where most people would dream it was like a bizarre fantasy attached to it, and they were able to apply it to a realistic scenario. And they did so such with surgical precision that we are guaranteed our rights by God every single day because of the way these guys spoke. Anyway, I know I'm long, probably lost everybody by now, but it's just remember, it's Independence Day is it's a special day. It's a very, very special day, and don't let anybody tell you different. Anybody who doesn't think it's special is they're an enemy to themselves and to you. Give you an instant of it. Here, this painting takes place, and it's at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. I was blessed to be able to go there. Matter of fact, I stood in this doorway and walked over to this doorway because I had to see it from both sides. This is Alexander Hamilton. He's up here in the front, and it's a Socratic circle here. Is how they, just like how our Congress is set up today. And matter of fact, what absolutely amazes me about this painting is I looked at it real hard and I recognized the chairs because they have the same chairs there. Is that not amazing? It's just, I'll give you another one. I'm just now thinking about the curtains. Like they're like a velvet looking curtain, something. It's just huge, heavy looking curtains. I thought to myself, that looks like it'd be really, really hot. Because I was there in what month was that? August, September, I think. It was. Luckily, there's air conditioning in here now. But, of course, I mean, in that old time, you see how high the ceiling is. Those high ceilings kept it a lot cooler in the rooms. We've forgotten that with modern homes. But, yeah, this is this is the actual room. This is what it looks like. This is how they stood around. Now, this is not how they signed the Declaration. A lot of people confuse that here with the uh, was it Trumballs, John Trumbull, the artist behind this. He, I think it's called a signing of the Declaration, maybe, but it's not the actual signing of it. This would be, obviously, this is Jefferson. He had Franklin was with him, and I believe this would be Adams right here. Franklin wrote the Declaration of Independence with input from Franklin and Adams, and so this is this is Jefferson handing his work in to Alexander Hamilton, the president of the Senate. This is absolutely this is it happened like this. I mean, this is what it would look like. It's unbelievable how artists, and this is another thing where I believe in the God's hand plays a role in this, is that for an artist to be able to have that gift to see this in their own mind and put it to gosh, what do they use? It's not canvas, I don't think, back when this was done, but anyway, to be able to produce a painting like this with such accuracy. I mean, look, I bet you could make out every single person in here if you knew who they were. I'm trying to see who else. Well, anyway, it's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. This is what it looks like. This is what happened. All these men were signing their own death warrants. How many of you have ever signed anything that would make you a criminal to be hung? As Benjamin Franklin said, we must all stand together or we will surely hang separately. So today when you see fireworks and stuff going off, remember, people willingly put their neck on the line, literally, for that freedom. And God, I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's fragile. It may be the most fragile thing there is. Oh, earlier I was saying about, I had the blessing to go to Philadelphia and see this. When seeing the Liberty Bell, I learned there's something like, I don't know, maybe like 100 nations will say. It was an amount that absolutely I was floored with. Have a replica of the Liberty Bell in that country that they display. That's how important freedom was. The idea of freedom. You're watching. This is the conception of freedom. This is it right here. And they decided to do something that has never been tried before. Think about that. Freedom's not free. Now, anyway, y'all, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up button. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't take any time. We're just trying to make our own little corner here on the internet. And anyway, appreciate y'all. Hope you have a safe. That's the most important thing. I want everybody to be safe. Call your family. Tell them you love them. Fly the red, white, and blue. She is nothing more than what you make of it. And other than that, truthfully, guys, gosh, just love America, love you, and Godspeed. All right, guys, have fun. Be safe. Peace.